Please join me in welcoming the next President of the United States of America.
With the 2020 election right around the corner, it's time to narrow down the potential Democratic nominee. The first step in deciding is the primaries and caucuses. But what is a primary or a caucus? The difference between a primary and a caucus is that a primary is when voters can indicate their preference for their party candidate by voting on a ballot. As with the caucus, it is a meeting of supporters that vote for their party's candidates by raising their hand and separating into groups. Around 40 states have primaries, including Michigan and New Hampshire. Some states can have either an open primary or a closed primary. Regards to Michigan, Michigan has an open primary. There are about 10 states that have caucuses, including Iowa. With Iowa being the first caucus and New Hampshire being the first primary in the 2020 election, make these two battleground states so influential. Whoever is deemed the winner of the Democratic nominee in these two states have a really high chance of becoming the potential nominee. Step 2 in deciding who is the Democratic nominee is determining the Democratic candidates. There are over 12 Democratic candidates running for the presidency. According to New York Times and CNN, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, Michael Bloomberg, and Joe Biden all have high chances of becoming the Democratic nominee. The Republican nominee is Donald J. Trump from New York. Trump is the 44th president of the United States, owner of the multi-million-dollar company. Trump is supported by construction trades, building trade unions, and blue collar. Trump wants to address immigration, the economy, and healthcare. In his 2020 campaign, he has raised about $308 million.
Believe me, if we have to close down our government, we're building that wall. Let me be very clear.
Trump is an interesting speaker because he uses simple language and playground insults in his campaign rallies, but this does not directly mean that he is not a highly skilled speaker. Donald Trump demonstrates strong leadership skills because he pushes aside precedents. He doesn't allow tradition and standards to get in his way. Donald Trump believes that climate change is a hoax. Minimum wage should be at least $10 an hour. Building a wall will make it harder for illegal immigrants to immigrate to the United States. And if we increase access to affordable skills, student loans and debt will go down. Another candidate is Bernie Sanders, a Democrat from New York.
Mrs. DeVos, there is a growing fear.
Bernie Sanders is a senator from Vermont since 2007. He is supported by younger people and labor unions. For his 2020 campaign, he has raised over $74 million. 3 issues he wished to resolve is Medicare, workplace democracy, and college funding.
For all. It guarantees, like every other major country on earth, health care to every man, woman, and child in this country.
This proposal completely eliminates student debt in this country and ends the absurdity of sentencing an entire generation, the millennial generation, to a lifetime of debt for the crime of doing the right thing.
And that class of this country, once the envy of the world, is disappearing.
He is a good speaker because he doesn't ingratiate himself with audiences by praising their hometown or telling easy jokes. He gets right down to business, delivering a serious indictment of American politics. Bernie Sanders is a transformational leader because he incorporates different factors such as inspirational motivation, intellectual stimulation, and individualized consideration. It is believed to change climate change, pay farmers to adapt to climate-friendly practices, cancel all student loans, raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour, and repeal the statute for immigration. Another Democratic candidate is Elizabeth Warren, a Democrat from Oklahoma City. Elizabeth Warren is a U.S. Senator from Massachusetts since 2013.
Under the Office of Legal Counsel.
For her 2020 campaign, she has raised over $60 million. Is supported by feminists and educators all over the United States. Issues she wished to tackle is financing laws, canceling student loans, and agriculture.
Whether or not those capital reserves are high enough, I think, is open to argument here. On one central question, what's happening to working families? Why is America's middle class getting hollowed out? And it's because Washington is possible for a young person to find a high-quality education at an affordable price.
Elizabeth Warren is a great speaker because she not only clearly described the crisis we face, but also lay out a path through it. Elizabeth Warren demonstrates her strong leadership aspects because of her past of working with children and in the educational field. Warren believes to cancel all student debt, to change climate change, to pay farmers to adapt to climate-friendly practices, to raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour, and to repeal the statute. Another Democratic candidate is Michael Bloomberg, a Democrat from Brighton, Massachusetts.
Today, voters from every
Michael
borough
Bloomberg
and
was
every
the mayor of
background
New
and
York City
every
from
neighborhood
2002
and
to
every
2013.
nationality from every party and every persuasion went to the polls, and they chose progress.
Michael Bloomberg's campaign is worth over $200 million. Michael Bloomberg is supported by liberals, gun control activists, and climate change groups. 3 issues he wished he could solve are gun control, climate change, and infrastructure.
Now, I know critics will say that Americans shouldn't need a permit to exercise their constitutional rights. But voting is a constitutional right, and we require people to register to protect the rights of all citizens.
The Earth is warming. There is no question about it. You can see it in ocean temperatures and ocean height.
What I'm not fine with is, instead of the tax cut, I need and you need, we all need infrastructure.
Even with his monotone voice, Michael Bloomberg still seems to awe his crowds with his bright ideas about problems we need to fix in America. Michael Bloomberg develops a strong leadership aspect because of his business he has. Michael Bloomberg believes we can change climate change if we pay farmers to adapt to climate-friendly practices, expand or fix existing debt relief programs, raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour, and leave the statute in place for immigration. Another Democratic candidate is Joe Biden, a Democrat from Scranton, Pennsylvania. He is the 47th Vice President of the United States.
That I will support in my life.
He also served as a U.S. Senate from 1973 to 2009. Joe Biden has raised over $22 million towards his 2020 campaign. He is supported by minority communities, liberals, and unions. 3 things he wants to handle is immigration, violence against women, and middle-class competitiveness.
We should be making sure we change the circumstance as we did, why they would leave in the first place.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have to rebuild the middle class. Let me explain what I mean by middle class. You know, I have a lot of economists work for me. They'll tell you.
The fact is that what happens now is that we, in fact, have to fundamentally change the culture of how women are treated. That's why, as vice president, when I asked the president I could start.
Joe Biden is a good speaker because he connects with his audience by embedding emotions into speeches, presentations, or public speaking activities. Joe Biden is a great leader because he possesses a clear vision, is courageous, has integrity, honesty, humility, and clear focus. Joe Biden believes to change climate change is to pay farmers to adapt to climate-friendly practices, to expand or fix existing debt relief programs, raise the federal minimum wage to $15 an hour, and to leave the status quo in place of immigration. Step 3 is evaluating 2 political advertisements. Candidates use political ads to influence a political debate and ultimately voters. Joe Biden published his advertisement on August 22, 2019.
Joe Biden, you were the first decision I made, and it was the best.
Joe Biden's ad uses Obama as a step stool so people can learn to trust him. This ad was successful because many Americans viewed President Obama as one of the nation's best presidents because of his assertive ways, and Vice President Biden added to it. This would give the audience a sense that they could trust Biden. Bernie Sanders published his advertisement on February 19, 2019.
Never takes place from the top on down, but always from the bottom on up.
Bernie Sanders' healthcare for all idea is gaining steam.
Bernie Sanders explains all the problems America is facing while also establishing solutions that could have been taken. He goes off into detail about minority groups that struggle over the years and how prosperous they could become when Bernie Sanders elected to office. This ad was very successful because it gives the problems of Bernie Sanders personalized solutions.
Unauthorized war. The fight against injustice has been the work of his life.
Jobs and education, not jails and incarceration.
Step 4 is predicting who will become the Democratic nominee. The 2020 election looks to be one of the most intense elections in American history. There are multiple Democratic candidates debating for the Democratic nomination because that is a step closer to becoming the potential president. Joe Biden is most likely going to win the Democratic nomination because of his previous experience working side by side with the former U.S. president. During all of his ads and his campaign, he uses President Obama as backbone to all of his decisions he plans to make. Biden uses this as a foundation because he knows that Obama had a lot of support because of his grand outlook on helping people that are less fortunate. However, Biden is transforming Obama's views into something that is fought for and not just given to the people. He explains during his campaign that this isn't something that is done one and done. His views differ from other Democratic candidates because he aims for possible goals that are reachable in the near future and that will not benefit only citizens but America as a whole. According to CNN, about 52 of Democrats believe Joe Biden will beat Donald Trump in the 2020 election because of his charismatic ways and the most of the policies Trump established during his 2016 to 2020 term will be undone and in return will benefit America's lower and middle class.
I have a regret that I am not president because I think there's so much opportunity. I think America is so incredibly well positioned.
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
against all enemies.
So, Mr. President, let's get something straight. We love it. We are not leaving it. We are here to stay, and we're certainly not going to leave it to you. Immigrants built this country. That's why we're so special.